it so that my last name is
I
here?
was trying to do my computer.
Oh yeah, you should be able to, Mark. I mean, I don't. I think you might have to go back out and come back in though.
Okay.
Okay, hold on. Hey everybody, we're live. I didn't even say that to the people that were on, but I had to click it because I only had so much time. Welcome on the couch with Ryan, season 2, episode 3. People seem to like it, so I'm gonna keep doing it. And I have my last guest coming on. Hold on, let me add him in. Hold on. Press the wrong button, y'all.
It's all right.
I'm doing it. I'm working.
Look, the devil's trying to work overtime, but we're gonna get this word out.
Just tell that devil, get
Look.
up out of here. That's what we're gonna do. Add the stream. Boom. My last guest.
Hey.
Let me do the round robin again. Welcome to On the Couch with Ryan. If you stayed, my 3 viewers, we're gonna try to get to 6 before we get moving. Let me stop. First, my first guest, Mr. James Johnson, Vice Principal in Memphis, Tennessee. That's right. He's a young man, but he has some credentials behind his name. My next guest, Mr. Mark Moffitt. I believe, Mark, are you a 9th grade English teacher in Baltimore, Maryland?
Yes, 9th and 10th.
So he has some 11th graders that failed that are still in there. And then finally, my last and my main man, Mr. Andre, blessed and highly favored Lloyd. Andre, if you mind telling me, what grade levels are you teaching in?
7th through 12th grade.
7th through 12th grade. And Andre also gets an extra check because he is the basketball coach, and they give you a little extra coin in your pocket for that. So we appreciate him for coming on tonight. Can we just get a reference here of your photo in the back? Can we get some of that, Mr. Lloyd? You and your wife there? I need a little bit of that in my life, sir.
Oh no, man! That was a gift from the church when we got married on our first anniversary. So
they put it together. And coins go a long way over there in the CME church.
We need some.
Yo,
we need some. Send me some.
So no. Tonight our episode was on education, COVID-19, everything that's going on right now. I feel like it's a lot, but I'm a parent. I know that we have some parents on here, and they wanted to jump and ask some questions. So, if you guys are looking in the comments and you guys want to, get some questions out, let's do that. But the first thing I wanted to ask, and I'll start with you, Mr. Johnson, is that I wanted to ask, what plans are you guys working on right now, if at all, when it comes to opening here in the next couple of weeks in Memphis?
Well, it's been a bumpy ride, but it's one that lends itself to a decision that has to be made soon. Because parents do want to plan for what the future and what the fall is going to look like. So in Memphis, you have your traditional schools and you also have your charter schools. I actually am a high school administrator for a charter school in Memphis, and we are smaller, so we have a little bit more autonomy and a little bit more wiggle room to make some different decisions. But for our school, we're giving parents the option to either send their kids to school virtually, or they can send their kids to school physically, right? Currently in Memphis, cases, I don't know if y'all keeping up with CNN and, local news, it's hard to not hear about it. Sometimes it can be so negative and disheartening, but in Memphis, cases are continuing to rise, and the Shelby County Health Department actually plays a significant role in determining what phase we're in, which we're in phase 2 right now. For us, we have no choice but to do distance and virtual learning. So we're under that phase until August the 29th. And our hope and our goal is to, either have students return whose parents opted to make that decision, or, for those students and parents who feel a little more safer to do it at home, they have that flexibility as well. So we want to give parents options. We want to give students options. I think high school is a little bit more different because, students are fully immersed with technology. It will look a little different, but we do want to provide those options for students and then give them that information so they can make the best decision possible.
Talk to me, Mr. Lloyd. What's it looking like for you? And are you in a Fulton County school here in Atlanta, or are you outside of Fulton?
No. So what I do, interestingly, you said that. That's why I said, I teach 7th through 12th grade. Because the school that I work at is a special kind of school. We deal with kids who predominantly have IEPs, some of our kids have behavioral disorder. And
We used to call
things
it
like
the
that.
alternative school when I was in college, and I used to act like I wanted to be a
Right.
teacher.
Well,
That's
not,
what we used to call it. I can say it, you can't. Alternative school. That's what.
right. But now they call it they call it whatever preparatory academy now.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the nice term for it.
So what plans
But
they got set up now?
what we try to do, so we basically we're watching what the other public school systems around us is doing, because that's where we draw a lot of our kids from. So a lot of kids from the other public school systems actually feed into our school. You know, when they can't really just make it in the public school setting anymore. So, you know, we actually, to be honest with you, man, is a whirlwind down here, because you got Fulton County, Cobb County saying they going all virtual. You see what I'm saying? You got Atlanta public schools that are saying, you know, you got Atlanta public schools that are saying they're gonna do the first 9 weeks online. You've got you've got Gwinnett County, and some of the other counties that are saying we going to school. DeKalb County, we going to school no matter what. We got people talking about the hybrid system. In Macon, Georgia, and Bibb County, where I'm from, my mom works at the board office. My sister's a counselor. They're not going to start school till after Labor Day. So it's a lot. It's just a lot going on, and we don't know. We just don't know. It's one of the things you don't know.
Mark, what plan they got you set up on, or what plan have they changed on you in the last 7 days?
So they finally dropped the plan on us this week. And we'll be going all virtual until January 29th. So that means, you know, all of the parents and students and people in the community who, you know, were counting on their kid going back to school this fall, man, they are mad. You should have seen Twitter. Twitter blew up, bro. Oh my God.
Do you have a ghost Twitter as a teacher? Because I feel like you all should have ghost Twitters to be able to talk about stuff that you deal with and just being able to, you know what I'm saying, get it out there in the street.
I know. I've gone back and forth to like, do I want a Twitter? Do I not want a Twitter? I don't have a Twitter. Wait, yes, I do have a Twitter. But no, I just go on there just to look at what my school is doing, and then I read the comments, which is
The comments are where it's at. The comments are where it's at.
Man, them comments, boy.
I want to say this before we get too deep into this. At this point, I just want to say that I have 3 Black male educators under the age of 40. Like, shout out to that. I want to acknowledge that is like monumental, not just for the simple fact of like what's going on right now, but for the fact that you guys were doing this before what was going on right now. So like major shout out to all y'all. You guys are really making a difference, and just it's a vibe. You know what I'm saying? Like really, because we need more Black male teachers, positive representation. I don't know. I feel like, you know, we got Issa Rae's, but we don't have that for Black male teachers. I want some more Issa Rae's for Black male teachers. If 2020 was a liquor, what would it be? I'll start with you, Mr. Lloyd, because you're a pastor.
Woo!
Dre, are you froze? Okay.
Oh, he's conveniently froze.
Okay. No, we're watching On the Couch with Ryan. I have a frozen pastor, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to
That's divine intervention if I've ever seen it.
Look, I tell you,
see, God works, and he might not be there when he wants you, but he is right on time.
He's right on time for that one.
I'm going to move to you, Mr. Moffitt. If 2020 was the liquor, what would it be and why?
If 2020 was a liquor, it would be dang, I'm gonna let you down on this one. I don't know. I don't know, man. Let's see. I'm gonna go with like a brand or like a type.
I feel like it's user choice. It's up to you, sir.
Okay, if it was a liquor, I'm gonna say it was tequila, or
Okay.
it is tequila.
James, what about you? What about the liquor for this year?
Well, I'm gonna say sparkling champagne because we expected one thing and we got something else. How about that?
I didn't think.
Oh, it's not. It's juice.
Well, look, juice, champagne. Look,
Yeah.
2020 is not what we expected. So, y'all seen that meme where it was like, we rung the new year in for this. This was it. What, really? Yeah.
No, this is a fact. No, Dre, are you back? Are you good?
That's the drink. Oh, he's coming in.
Okay, are you back, Dre? Hold on. Technical difficulty.
In the meantime,
Okay,
I'll tell you what 2020 is not. It is not
Yeah, I'm
San
back, man.
Pellegrino
I ain't
juice. You try this pomegranate and orange juice.
I got the $3.50 apple juice. I got a
Got a
little
boy.
that PUA. Y'all see it at the bottom? Y'all acknowledge that. Pandemic unemployment assistance. Extended, y'all. Extended. We need that $600. Yo. I want to ask you, Dre. I know that you're a pastor and you back in and God saved you, but I'm back. The devil. Hey, tell me 2020, what type of liquor was it for you? And if you could just pull one out that this year reminds you of.
You said what now? Did 2020 remind me of what now?
A liquor. What type of liquor does 2020 remind you of? This is rough. This is really rough. Yeah, man. Xfinity's letting him down, y'all.
Ping.
We're all out there. We all out there.
Everclear.
He's Everclear. Oh my God.
Ooh.
You went
Yeah.
to the bag. You wasn't playing.
Won't he do it?
Oh, wait.
Hey, I wanted to ask you, I just throw this out here to everybody. Do you feel safe going back to work in a face-to-face environment comparable to you going to like a Walmart or potentially going to a Target? Do you even feel that you can be safe in that environment? Anybody, go ahead. I'm sorry, I apologize. Anybody can go.
Well, I'll speak first. For me, I just think that
Martini, I'm sorry.
different people have different situations going on. And I think that for me, I'm not going to live my life in fear. I do, obviously want to take the necessary precautions to remain safe, right? So I'm not taking what's going on for granted. You know what I'm saying? Like now for me, I've had the flexibility to work a lot remotely from the house. If I have to make a run to the grocery store, I'll do that, have the mask on, had a germ mix, make sure that I'm safe. But I haven't really been going out a whole lot just because of it. But, when school starts back, I know they've given us the flexibility as teachers and admin, like, hey, into that first month, because we are going to go virtually for that first month of school. They're giving teachers that flexibility. People have different things going on in their house, right? You have some people who are, I can't get the word out, immunocompromised, and then you may have family members who may have different situations. You have admin and you have teachers who have children who may be sick, etc. Right? So I think ultimately, you just have to do what's best for you and your families. But for me, regardless, I'm going to live. I'm going to also take the necessary safety precautions to remain safe. But we have to move forward. But like I said, different people have different situations going on in their homes. So, you have to take that into account too.
Mark, how are you feeling going out there?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to definitely agree with Mr. Johnson that we cannot be afraid of a virus. We cannot be afraid of the invisible. Life is too short to be lived in fear. Got to have faith in something these days. And so, but the thing is, on a personal level, I can process that and come to terms with it because I'm old enough. I've had enough experience. My students, they are going to have a tougher time processing that fear, getting over it, and turning it into something positive. And what's going to happen is that fear is going to manifest itself unpredictably. And nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. I mean, school, because you got to think they haven't been in school since March anyway. Like they are so wanting to go to school. And right now it's so political that they're going to be just chomping at the bit to like tell everybody everything that they learned on their own. And I ain't no preparation enough for that.
Dre, I was asking the question, do you feel safe getting in front of kids in person with everything that's going on? You obviously have a wife that's being real careful like mine. And, you just had a baby that turned 3. Does it cross your mind about you bringing something back home to them where you're just trying to feed them?
Yes. No, I'm definitely worried about it. I just, I don't, my son, he's 3, and this has been going on since like March. He hadn't been to the daycare at all. Like his daycare never closed. Mm-hmm. Like his daycare was one of those, they stayed open for essential workers. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Which makes it even more dangerous for me to take him back to school, because who knows, these kids are going around their parents, and you know what I'm saying? And big shout out to his daycare. They do the best they can to, take precautionary measures and do all this other stuff. But I just can't run the risk of that. I just can't do it.
So if that's what you guys are doing, what are you doing? Because your wife works, right? What are you guys doing for childcare? Is she able to work from home, or what happens if she has to be there with him since she's not taking him to daycare? Are you taking time, to do something virtual? Like, what does that look like for y'all?
Right. Well, she's not. She doesn't have to work right now. She worked for Keisha.
Come on, Reverend.
Yeah.
Keisha got the
I love
city
it.
down.
United States.
Keisha.
Keisha got the city shut down. No city of Atlanta.
She gonna be on Fallon tonight. She gonna be on the Tonight Show. I'm so gassed on that. I'm like, bro, she gonna be on there with that quick 27 piece on her head, and she gonna say, "Hello, welcome to Atlanta, where the players play." That's all I want to hear.
Oh, she's subject to say that. She's subject to say that.
Yeah, I wanted to get your guys' thoughts too. James, I know that you're working in I don't want to say the wrong thing, but a charter school. Is that an okay word for me to say?
Yeah.
Do you feel like, I know you spoke on just being able to have a little bit more flexibility, but I wanted to think about when it came to the students. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like they are a little bit more prepared because of your flexibility? I mean, are you guys offering laptops, help with internet, things like that, where I feel like some of the public schools are really just doing federal basics? It's not like they're saying, let's get out there and get the kids connected. Let's try to get them on the level where the private schools and charters are already at. Could you talk to me a little bit about just, some of the differences that you see comparable to your counterparts in public?
So the challenges that public schools and charter schools, just as a whole, we're all facing the same challenges. And when I talk about flexibility, I know for us, since we're a small charter school network, we have more flexibility to go ahead and make a decision and let parents know what we're going to do so they can go ahead and prepare for the upcoming school year. Right. In Memphis actually houses the largest school district in the state of Tennessee. Shelby County Schools, formerly known as Memphis City Schools. So, when everything was first going down, like a lot of parents were frustrated and saying like, hey, when are you guys going to make a decision? What's taking so long? And, I have some friends who are parents, and then also just parents of students that I've taught before, because I actually used to work for the traditional schools at one point. Mm-hmm. And I had to reassure them and say, hey, look, this is the largest district in the state. It's not going to be that easy to make a decision you got to think about it. I'm putting my political hat on too, because I was in politics before education, but education and students, it's big business.
Right.
So it's not just making a decision and going about it. You got to think about this. In Memphis, our school, the Shelby County School District is the second largest employer in the entire city behind FedEx. So making one decision could actually affect people's livelihood and jobs, right? If we go back to school completely in terms of virtually, you talk about the custodial workers, you're talking about cafeteria staff, janitors, all of those folks will not have a job. If you think about just other things with like curriculum, how are students who, have special education accommodations that they need, that have IEPs or 504 plans, like all of these things have to be figured out. Even to your employees, the teachers, right, who are going to be the ones to make this huge shift, which I applaud all the teachers, because one thing about teachers, we can shift and we can make and Mark and others can make those adaptations like at the drop of a dime and go with the flow, right? But with that, there are all these virtual platforms that they have to be trained on and, get used to. Some of your old school teachers are like, wait a minute, hold up, look, I'm all about the simple basic.
I just learned how to use the Facebook. Now
you tell me now I got to get on the computer.
I can't do it now.
Right, and do Zoom and all of this stuff. So it's a huge adjustment for everybody, and even when like teachers too, because they're concerned, as it should be, what happens if I get sick if we return? What happens with my sick day? Am I going to get hazardous pay? What happens if one kid gets someone sick in the classroom? Is everyone going to have to quarantine? Am I going to have to quarantine?
And I hate to cut you off, but has anybody had a specific, I guess you would say, plan told to them, or has there been any guidelines given to anybody about, let's just say, Andre, you're sick, or your wife is sick, Mark, your significant other is sick, comparable to, you just coming in and feeling like I got a headache or something. What is the plan for a teacher that is actually, I know a lot of people are doing virtual here coming up, but has there been a plan kind of put out there, for like, who's going to be a substitute? Who's going to walk in the door and say, well, I know that the person just sitting in this chair was sick yesterday and he was around these other 27 other kids, and now I'm walking in the door. But has that ever, has anybody talked about that, or said this is what our plan is? Like,
well, I'm gonna be honest, I can speak for my district and what we're doing. We do have a plan in terms of just how we're going to re-enter the space. We are going to start school on time. It's going to be virtual. We do want to come back. However, I think that we're in a state of emergency. This is a pandemic, so we have to keep that at the forefront of our decisions. And I think that the key word in this whole equation is grace. And while, we are, educating our students virtually, some of those specific policies districts are having to create and make up. Well, not make up, but make up in place so that when we do come back physically, once, we find a vaccine, and once it goes away, we can actually, come back to school, but have some things in place, right? Because you can't come back in place and these things aren't answered. We don't have a plan because some of these things are, inevitable in terms of happiness. So it's a lot to it. And I think that's why a lot of school districts are going to go ahead and go virtually so they can go ahead and work out some of those finite kinks and questions and
not get sued.
Complexity. Thank you. That's a big one. Not get sued. Let's call a spade a spade. Ain't nobody trying to get sued in 5 minutes, because who wants to sign a waiver saying if I get COVID and I die, that's a lot, so.
Is anybody here a part of a teachers union?
No.
Okay. I love how we're in a state that's Republican, and that's why we said no. No. I mean, Mark, has there been any type of conversation with your union rep, or just like, hey, this is our plan, and just how's that communication been comparable to, obviously people that aren't in the union? They're just, having these conversations with their school district and principals and things of that nature, where you have like that extra layer, I guess, of, I would almost say insulation, but then I also feel like, it also can be something where you might not agree with the union, but, you have to go with what they're saying because you're a part.
Oh, man. Thank you for asking me that. First of all, my union rep is great. Shout out to Kelly Olds. She's a fantastic communicator. She fights super hard for us as our rep, and she's super duper, like, not playing around with the kind of tricks that the education system tries to pull on unsuspecting employees.
That's right.
You know, and so because of that, like, oh, so much gratitude for like my teachers union, tabco, and all the other unions that are out there just fighting for the safety of teachers, because if it wasn't for the union, we'd probably be in school right now.
Wow. Wow. So I ran into a situation with another private school here in Atlanta, and it's a very influential private school. In fact, it is the private school where Arthur Blank's kids and grandkids go to school. It's across from the governor's mansion. So they're being told that they're going to school at this school. And you have to have masks on 24/7. And here's what they're asking teachers to do. They're telling teachers either you have to wear a mask and a face shield. And so if you don't, they are putting in place guidelines that if you don't follow the rules as a teacher, then there are going to be some issues. They care nothing. And watch this.
Like? Are they going to
watch this.
What does the issue look like? Don't show up and be here in front of the children? Like, what is your issue? They're going to send you to ISS?
I don't know.
Like, what?
Wait now. So here's why they're going to school.
Yes.
This school is so influential. It allowed its students to make the decision.
You mean children? Children made the decision.
Yes.
Okay. Did they make the lunch menu too? Is it just going to be pizza and like fish sticks? Like, Jesus Christ.
Oh no. They don't eat that up there. No.
There's no reduced lunch. There's no. Yo, that's another question. How are you guys thinking, with children that you all know? Obviously everybody, is in that situation where I feel like you understand. I never was on reduced lunch, but I know that it's a service and a bigger thing than I thought of as I see kind of schools, taking care of the community. Mark, I know that you said that your school was doing that specifically out of the gate. But how do you guys feel like, your children, and I say yours because I feel like they are, you're with them realistically just as much as the parents. How do you feel like they're going to be affected when it comes to nutrition, with realistically some of the only square meals of the day they get is inside of four walls at school, and they're not coming back till January?
So my kids are going to lose big time.
Yeah.
Okay. My kids are going to lose big time because, we have a large percentage of parents in our school who don't care. You know what I'm saying? We got kids who come to school with dirty uniforms. And so I know my kids personally are going to suffer.
Yeah.
From it. I got kids, even when we are in school and kids bring their own lunch, these kids don't bring like chips and candy.
Yeah.
Like, they don't, and you know what I'm saying? And then if I run out to get lunch, it's like they begging me, hey, Mr. Lord, can you please bring me back some shit? So I know my kids are gonna suffer. Okay. But again, my mom being in the Bill County school system working at the board office, their board just met a few days ago about the same issue, to the point where I think the parents in that area put so much pressure on them that what's going to happen there is in the mornings, kids and parents have to come and pick up breakfast and lunch and then take it back.
Wow. So they're actually going to get the food and go back to virtual learning.
They're going to come to the school, get the food, and then go back home.
And they're doing it every day, not like a once a week, come on Friday and then.
Well, but here's the thing too, though. That school system is giving you a decision. So, for example, James may say, I'm gonna send my kids to school. Whereas Mark may say, nah, I'm good. I'm gonna work from home and I'm gonna let my kids work from home.
Yeah.
So it's a lot. Like there's something about teachers wearing cameras. The kids that are at home are not going to be able to see the kids that are in the classroom, and the kids in the classroom are not going to be able to see the kids that are at home, and vice versa. But they're going to be seeing the same lesson at the same time. I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, it's crazy.
What about you? Are you concerned at all about your kids just being able to have a semblance of just regular meals? You know,
the thing for me is this is difficult, because it's layered for me, right? I think that we're putting too much on schools. Schools are having to do everything, but then given enough funding to do what they need to primarily do, which is to educate kids.
That's right.
I hate that kids have to rely on schools in order to receive a meal, and that's a whole nother conversation. I'm glad for the district that we've done some food drives. We've been able to give some kids just meals, for those who are really in need, and also provide groceries for our students. But my issue is just the funding and how schools are funded and how that money is allocated to schools. And, I think it's good that we're able to do things like that, but I'm also trying to figure out what can we do to also get the business community to step up to help out with some of these projects? Because we're asking teachers and administrators in school districts to wear all of these hats. We need you to feed kids. We need you to educate them. We need you to make sure they get a ride home. We need you to do all of these things. And I feel like it just overburdens the school system with the lack of funding. You have some kids, Collierville High School, which Collierville is its own municipal district. They decided when Memphis City Schools merged and became Shelby County Schools. A lot of the suburban school districts created their own school district. Collierville High School is a $100 million high school. $100 million, the largest and most expensive high school in the state of Tennessee. You can go to all these other neighborhood schools, dilapidated buildings, old textbooks, all of these under-resourced and underfunded schools, but then you have a school right here that's $100 million. Now, that community and the property tax that they're able to generate is able to provide that type of school, the amenities and everything that it has. My issue is, I think that the elephant on the table is this pandemic that nobody, I feel like, is really talking about, is the inequity and the lack of resources that schools have. Nobody wants to talk about, well, what are y'all going to do for all of those kids who don't have access to internet and a laptop? Even if we provide them with a laptop, what about if they have flaky internet access? What you going to do if somebody's lights get cut off? What are you going to do if you have 4 kids in the house with a laptop and they have one, broadband in the house and they're all using up all of these things? It's inequity. So to me, it's just, I feel like, the way the school system is set up and designed now, those who are already behind, they're going to be further behind. And I just hate it for our kids because, we talk about education being the great stabilizer, but the conditions in this pandemic, I feel like, is going to put kids who are already vulnerable and marginalized back even further. And it's not their fault. And we need to change funding mechanisms on the state, local level. We need I ain't gonna go too much on air.
No.
We need a Department of Education secretary who has experience and someone who
and just send it to Memphis.
And someone who knows what they're doing to speak on education. How are you gonna make a decision about education and you ain't even never been in a public school? Had kids go in the classroom, been a teacher, and you're making decisions for public education. So
you talking about old Betsy? Are you talking about old Betsy? I think that's who you were dragging into the conversation.
That's what I'm talking about. No, that's what I'm talking about. You making decisions. Now, luckily, we don't get a lot of money.
Shamed about that. She from Michigan. We gotta be shamed about her.
Now, luckily, we don't get a lot of money from the federal government. Luckily, that money comes from the state and local levels, but it still needs to be allocated in a way that's equitable and fair for all students. Because there shouldn't be some students thriving through this pandemic and then others who are going to be farther behind. It's messed up, and I can go on and on, but let me stop.
Let me open it up to Mark, because I feel like he's been super cordial, letting everybody get it in. But I mean, how are you feeling about some of those inequities and just really feeling as if you don't have too much control over anything?
Well, not trying to be an echo chamber, so I just would like to add. I mean, I'm just thinking about the nature of kids. They're always hungry. Like, when was the last time you asked a kid, are you hungry? And the answer was no, right? We're in the land of plenty.
Right.
Where's this food at? Why are our kids, why are my students constantly asking me for food?
That's right.
And I got to say no, because I'm not allowed to give my kids food.
That's right.
My kids are hungry. They want to order something on DoorDash. They can't do it because they're not allowed to.
That's right.
You know, my students want to stop at the store before school, but they're late. They got to stand in line, get a late pass. Now they're a half hour late. Then they go all the way up to the classroom, try and eat. And then the teacher's like,
Yep.
yo, you can't eat.
Yeah.
And then the students like, but I'm really hungry. And the teacher's probably going to be like, all right, for sure. You know what I'm saying? Eat. I'm never told a kid stop eating. I can't. You know, like, so this is where I'm coming from. Like, just can we normalize food?
Wow.
That's such a powerful statement.
Wow. Yo,
we live in the United States.
Yo, Mark, that will be heard in a sermon of mine. I will shout you out on Sunday morning.
Make sure to share.
I will shout you out.
Make sure to like, share, shoot
because, and it's funny that Mark say that, and don't kind of want to change the subject, but I just dealt with a situation like that in my hometown, and I never understood what this whole notion of a food desert is. And in my hometown, majority of the African American kids that are zoned for a certain food district live in a food desert. And it's kind of like James was saying, the kids who live on another side of town where all the rich private schools are and some of the better schools are, they have 5 grocery stores in that one zip code. And there are 0 grocery stores in the zip code where predominantly African American kids live.
You can't get fresh food from Dollar General. I'm gonna just say it. You can't get it from Family Dollar. There's no vegan options at Family Dollar.
Shout out to my friend Dylan is speaking truth right here. With parents.
Go ahead, Mark. Read it for me.
He says, but when parents stop at Chick-fil-A on the way, which is a homophobic corporation.
Wait, we done put it up there now. We in Atlanta. Now hold on now. I'm sorry.
Stopping at Chick-fil-A, dropping them off 40 minutes late like it's nothing.
That's true. That is so true.
I'm gonna say this: my baby gonna have a McGriddle. You know, y'all ain't gonna have my child.
Just make sure she on time.
Well, that's my next thing coming up. Like, I know you guys are all in the space where you are, like you said, dealing with older children. I have a kindergartner that just got out of preschool that realistically only went to preschool up until April. And so she has a semblance of a classroom. You know, my biggest fear is like when we first got our son into kindergarten, we didn't understand classroom etiquette, management, and stuff that we thought he knew, he really didn't know. So it was kind of like a slap in the face, and we were like, damn, we terrible parents, you know? But as time went on, you know, it kind of came together. But I think that's what preschool does, is it gets you to that, you know, equal starting line, you know, so hopefully when they do get to kindergarten, they can move forward. But, you know, with virtual here in Atlanta, my concern is that, like, I have a college degree. I spelled principal wrong when I set this up, as well as something else James told me. Shout out to James. I need him on my team. But I don't know how I'm supposed to do kindergarten virtually. And if you guys could give me some advice, it'd be very much appreciated, because I got 2.5 weeks to be a kindergarten teacher. So, yeah.
I'll send you my sister's number, who's a former kindergarten teacher.
Okay. I don't know what to do. I mean, and I just think, again, I feel like I'm in a better place than most. You know, so what does the parent do that is doing this virtually, and they struggled with fractions, and they struggled with, I don't know, English. So, you know, what are they supposed to be when, you know, I think what they called it was down study time, or I guess the time that the camera wasn't on. You know, and it's the parent's responsibility to be that teacher, to get them, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? Connected, engaged. I think engaged was the big word. How do you keep a child engaged in their home environment? And if you have a challenge as a parent, literacy, really, really big in the Black community. You know what I'm saying? How are you supposed to be that teacher? And I give it to you all because you are teachers. You made the decision to do this. For us that didn't, how are we supposed to take those shoes and fill them?
You're doing it, man.
Yeah.
You're doing it right now. Ask teachers. Ask teachers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Reach out. Be like, hey, I'm right here on this part. Or how about this? Be like, hey, you know what? That's gonna be tough this year, because I would say, like, back when this all started, a good strategy, you know, would have been like, hey, so what is a good classroom strategy that works well with my kid that I could use at home?
Yeah, that's smart.
You know what I mean? Like what kind of learner is my kid?
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
Ryan,
Teacher's gonna answer that.
One thing that I would say, because that's definitely, like, I feel like that question right there is at the just at the forefront for so many parents, just nationwide. What am I going to do? I'm not the teacher. I have to go to work. How can I make this work within 2 or 3 weeks? So, you know, some school districts a week, whatever. One of the things that I would say, this pandemic has presented a huge problem, but one of the things that my grandma would always say is that inside every problem lies an opportunity. This is an opportunity for you not to figure out this thing on your own. This is an opportunity to connect with a village of people. So if you have neighbors, if you have family members who you really haven't connected with, people who are in the same boat, people who have children, multiple children, this pandemic is going to give us an opportunity to not only be innovative in how we teach and reach kids through education, but we're going to also have to evolve as a people, as a human, you know, like, because either you're going to evolve or you're going to fold. So one suggestion that I would make to parents who are in this predicament, you have several different options, and you have actually more choice than you've ever had before. You have online school, you have virtual school, you know, get with people who, you know, go to your church or your neighborhood, like, hey, do you got somebody, you know, who can watch the kids, you know, or if there's a group of you guys, have them all to come together and go to somebody's house and hire somebody who can tutor. Get a retired teacher. There's so many, this right now for people and educators who are retiring because they're like, look, I cannot deal with all these changes. I'm good. Let me go ahead and put the paperwork in now. This is a huge hole in the market for homeschooling and people being able to start businesses where they can have small settings and educate kids through this virtual experience, right? So find other people who you know, who may want to have their kids educated virtually, come together, hire a college student, because really all you're doing is really monitoring and making sure the kids are actually logging in and doing the assignments. I do feel your pain, Ryan, in terms of like the elementary students, because they learn a lot through connection, playing, movement, playing with those manipulatives, right? Moving the blocks and different things of that nature. But I think if the more we can focus and shift our attitude toward, let me find a village of people, let me connect with other folks, because you're not alone, but be proactive and figure out, what can I do to make some connections and call some folks who are in the same boat so we can come with a solution together. So you don't have to educate your kid, but at least get somebody to be at somebody's house and hire somebody to do it.
Together if we don't know our statuses?
Say it one more time.
I'm sorry, can we connect together if we don't all know our statuses? Needless to say, our children's status?
You talking about in terms of coronavirus?
I am.
Well, hey, I mean, that's a good question. I mean, now the test thing I haven't gotten tested, but from my understanding, you can get results back in the same day now. So you might want to, hey, look it up, go get tested, come together with other parents, hire somebody, and you guys could do rotations, right? It just depends on everyone's work schedule, and it just depends on people's flexibility, because you might have parents who work at night, in the morning, but the more that you can find people who are in the same boat and hire somebody, like I said, you can hire a college student. You don't need to hire and pay somebody $500 a week to be at home, because really you need somebody just to proctor and make sure that the kids are actually doing the work.
Oh, good word.
We're not saying that virtual learning is going to happen forever, but just coming up with a substitute will help in the meantime.
Right.
I agree. Mark, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I put my hand in the air because I realized that libraries are a really great resource during this time. Like they're going to be open now. They got internet there. They got resources. They'll be able to provide you with like local tutors. If you just go there, there's going to be people there who know stuff.
Yep.
You know what I mean? If it's the help that you receive is probably not going to be the help that you thought it was going to be.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on this, and I put this out early. I put the PUA in my thing because it's funny, but realistically, I'm on it. So shout out to the federal government. Y'all do strong work every Tuesday for me. Thank you. I wanted to ask though, a lot of people potentially are going to lose this, and I heard something, and it said, once luxury is tasted, it can't be turned off. How do you feel like people that are going from never making this type of money to making this type of money to losing this type of money again, potentially didn't save it the way they were supposed to? That person is told to go back to Subway, to go back to the minimum wage job after you figured, you're making $4,000 a month from $2,000 a month. Sitting on the couch. Not necessarily saying sitting on the couch, but sitting on the couch. We're on the couch with Ryan right now. I'm sitting on the couch. How do you feel like that affects people when it comes to just the socioeconomic and just the mental switch of the kids having to go from, an opportunity where maybe they've seen something different to going back to what they've known their whole life? And how does that affect you all when it comes to, flat screen TVs have been bought, but, if the internet gets shut off because people didn't save that PUA money, it seems kind of difficult to do your job. So I just kind of want to get your thoughts on the economic, just kind of train wreck that we're looking at coming up here and how that's kind of affected your students.
Yeah, man. So I think that what it's going to do, first of all, is it's going to cause withdrawal symptoms because students these days are addicts. Okay. They're addicted to the phone. Okay. So, they're going to get that money and they're just going to go off. They've been going off. And so they're going to stop getting it and they're going to have withdrawals.
Yeah.
And that's going to manifest itself unpredictably.
I think James talked about that earlier when he talked about the school system that, had, the have, basically the have and have not. It's like James said earlier, man, this stuff is political. And honestly, kids are big business.
Yep.
I'm a coach, right? So they're telling us now as high school and middle school coaches that in a real sense we don't matter anymore. That if you don't have a good relationship with an AAU coach, then you're never going to get into college. So kids are becoming big businesses now, and what's going to end up happening in this economic downturn is kids are going to start taking on what they see in the media every day. They're going to take on this savage, get it how I want it, get it how I live attitude. And like James said earlier, we got to do that because now we got to be somebody's daddy. You know what I'm saying? We got to try to be somebody's counselor. We got to try to be somebody's pastor. You know what I'm saying? We got to try to feed somebody to keep them from stealing from stores and going to jail. And you know what I'm saying? Man, this thing is going to All it's gonna do is like the Reverend Dr. Freddie Haynes like to say, all this is doing is creating a cradle to prison pipeline. When kids, this younger generation has adapted an attitude of instant gratification.
Yeah.
And if they don't get it when they want it, they're gonna take it. And guess what? They're gonna lock them up.
Yeah.
It's gonna be over with. And again, here we are in a pandemic, and we can't educate our kids like we need to, so they don't have the education. So there they are signing plea deals and signing their life away in prison system, and it's like, dang, look what this pandemic has created.
And then to echo what Andre said, this is real. And I think the fact that they've been able to pay people the unemployment money that they've been able to, that lets me know there needs to be a minimum $15 minimum wage period. Like,
ooh, that could be
we got the money. If we say we're the richest and we're the most wealthy country, you got a funny way of showing that. And so I think that going back to Andre's point, my school, our mission is to prepare all students for college leadership in life. And for me, I'm always thinking about ways to get my students prepared, not just educational, but to build skills and mindsets and habits so that when they graduate, they can become employable, they can get a job. Everybody's not going to college. I want to get you college educated while you're in front of me and at my school, but I do want you to also be able to get a job based on the skill sets and what you want to do. I think that too, going back to what you said about around like the inequities and how that further marginalizes our students, what Andre said, and inevitably it makes it to where kids who are already in dire or desperate situations make decisions that they wouldn't make if they were in a different environment or different situation. I have a kid right now that's in the court system. I had to write a character reference letter today because he's facing some charges. Good kid, environment, got caught up. Kid, very respectful, never had an issue with him, but his environment, when school got out, he made some, he was around certain people or whatever, and you know what I'm saying? And I just feel like with the pandemic, going back to what Andre said, it's just going to further marginalize different the people who are already the haves and have-nots, basically, and it's frustrating. It's frustrating. And I don't know. I don't want to. Well, it's hard not to lose sleep, especially when you're an administrator around these different situations. But I know the things that I can control. I'm gonna focus on that and do the best that I can do, and be involved locally just with political scene and just different things. But it's tough. But in this field, you have to really care, because if you don't, you're gonna further just create more marginalization. So if you don't care about if you don't care about kids and you don't care about this work, and if you're not thinking about what's going on outside of work, it's going to be really hard for you to really make a difference, because it's not something that you can just turn off when you leave the building. This is hard work, and you really have to be in it for the long run.
Yep. Well, no, I think that there's no, and I mean, please correct me if I'm wrong. Are any of you guys in this for the money?
If I was in it for the money, I was a long time ago. I remember one time I was doing text. I spent like $2,000, $3,000 of my own money. Like, my school had a limit on copies. You could only make 500 copies a week. I'm like, I got 150 kids. How am I gonna make? How do I only have 500 copies a month and I got 150 kids? That's gone into that. So,
well, you need a teachers union.
Ryan, I remember on my first interview, you asked me that question, right?
Yeah.
I've changed my answer. I teach for the money because that is my job, right? Like, I have a job to make money so that I can eat, so that I can live. Like, yes, I teach for the money. I became a teacher because I love working with kids, because I thought I'd be good at it, because it's a lot of fun. It's extremely rewarding, and I do a lot of good. Mm-hmm. And that's amazing. That's why I became a teacher, right? But I have this job because of the money. I have this job because of the money. It allows me to live. So I think that teachers need to start to change that answer, right? We do teach for the money. We became teachers to change the world. We teach currently to live.
Right. And I can partially agree with Mark. And the reason I can agree with Mark is because of what James said. You know what I'm saying? Like Mark said, I teach for the money. Now, the reason why I would say no, now is it the money that I feel like I should be making? Because again, like James said, man, I done been kids I done had to take kids to barbershop, bought kids groceries. Listen, man, I done bought. Listen, I had a young man who desperately wanted to go to the prom. Man, I bought everything and got his hair done and I did everything. You know what I'm saying? So I agree with Mark on the fact that I need to make the money. And you want to know why I need to make the money, especially in the school system that I'm in. I need to make the money because I got to put the money back in the classroom because they're not gonna put the money back in.
Man, that's
so give me your money to help me do something that you should be doing.
And nobody's going to tell me I was meant that I'm not meant to be a teacher.
Right.
Nobody's going to tell me that this is not what I was born to do.
That's right.
And I agree with both of y'all on that part. I think the only thing that I would say to that is that some teachers, and it's not all, but everybody needs a job. Everybody needs to eat.
Right.
You got to have a job to survive. Food, clothing, shelter, all of that good stuff. But when you operate in a way to where your survival is getting ahead of what you're actually doing, that's the problem. So everybody got to find a job, but you shouldn't be working. Your survivalness and having that job should not dictate, in this field, in my opinion, the decisions that you make. Our job is a service job. We shouldn't want to make $100,000, $150,000 as teachers. We're going in to serve. That's not the profession. You want to do that, you need to go into private business. You need to, do something else. Our job is to serve. It'd be nice if we had a decent salary. We're not spending all of our money on supplies and have that money allocated appropriately from the state and local government, but that's another conversation. But survival shouldn't dictate our ability to serve, because that's what we're ultimately called to do.
Well, you have, you know what I'm saying? And I hear your sentiment, and I hear your sentiment from an administrative standpoint of view, because you got teachers who are coming in there like that, who coming in there giving kids busy work and they collecting checks. And as the administrator, you following them on Facebook, they turned up every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But on your evaluation form, they lazy Monday through Friday. The kids
stop now. Hold on, wait. Stop.
The kids don't know nothing. The kids don't know nothing, but they teachers know how to twerk. You know what I'm saying? They teachers know how to throw them ones at Magic City, but they don't know how to teach kids how to read. You feel me?
Watching On the Couch with Ryan, season 2, episode 4. Real fast. I thought we were just going to be very basic, but we got deep today, y'all. I wanted to ask, though, real fast, guys. I know we're pushing an hour, and I like to keep this right at that, just so people can feel like I'm not wasting their time. But I really wanted to get your thoughts on, again, you guys have older children, and this is an election year. I was supposed to vote today, but I was lazy. I waited 6 hours last time for the primary, and I just told myself I got to do better. So I'm trying to get out early. I'm a 31-year-old man that pledged a fraternity that said, first off, we vote. So I have that in my mindset, and it's taking me extra effort with everything else that's going on. What are you guys doing to motivate those children that are able to vote, and potentially the ones that you have touched or potentially have been with, in the past, to get them motivated to get out there, to start making some change and hopefully being able to be a part of this election cycle, even virtually? How are we able to do those things that naturally I feel like my teacher just got up there and said, go register? All right. I think, James, didn't we have the same U.S. history teacher? And she was like, okay. Yeah, and she told me,
man, she was the best. You hear me?
No, she told Miss Mayfairy Woods was the best, but she told me that Barack Obama wouldn't win. Ha!
I'd had that teacher. I don't know who that was. I had Miss Mahaffey. Yeah,
What kind of teacher would say something like that?
I know. Well, you know what? It was a different time.
Make America great again, teacher.
Oh my God! I'd have that one.
No, but yeah, what
Yeah,
do you guys
no.
keep your kids politically, just engaged, or maybe is that even something you guys, think about?
One thing that I would say, I have a very close relationship with my student leaders. Obviously, Ryan, high school,
Yeah.
student government, student body president in college and stuff like that. So, and I love politics. So coming into a school and working with high school kids, it was like the best of both worlds. So I have a really close relationship with them. And it's so funny that you asked this question because I got a phone call Sunday evening from a local poll precinct saying, hey, we need volunteers and we need some kids that are, over 16 to help come work the polls. So I immediately went, yes. So I immediately went in the group chat to the student council. They have a little group chat. They invited me in. I said, are y'all sure? So they invited me and I said, hey, right. I said, look, they're paying folks to work the polls. I know y'all want to do something and this to get you out the house. When I tell you, I ain't never seen so many of them kids respond in that group text. I'm like, oh, so y'all phones do work. Because when I asked y'all something else, anyway, they started literally yesterday. And they've been just getting so much experience. They got the mask and stuff on. They're doing the social distance, but they're passing out stickers. They're getting not just what we preach in the classroom, like, student council, but they're actually getting involved in the political process. So no, they're not 18, but like I told you before, I'm getting my kids ready for college leadership in life. So a part of life, you got to get out there. You have to be engaged. And I'm glad that they've been having a really good experience and they get to do this for the next 2 weeks until elections come. So
that's good. That's good.
Know that.
Because James, that's good because I tell people in church that that before you can elevate, you first got to be exposed to it. And if you don't expose them, they'll never elevate. Their mindset will never go there. So that they've been exposed to it now, man. It's gonna be second nature when it is their turn. You know what I'm saying? Versus like Ryan said, we had the teachers who just said, "All right, when y'all turn 18, y'all need to vote." I'll be honest with you, I didn't know the importance of voting until I pledged to fraternity, and we were volunteering on Barack Obama's first campaign in Jackson, Tennessee.
Hey,
I still didn't understand it until the night he got elected. Wow. And I saw Jackson, Tennessee go crazy. And I seen grown men cry because Barack Obama was elected. And I'm like, wait a minute. And then at that time, my grandmother was in her 80s, getting ready to cross over in her 90s. When my grandmother was like, I ain't never seen my grandmama show no emotion.
Wow.
But hear her on the phone share emotion that Barack Obama got lit. I was like, oh, you know what? I got to vote, man.
Yeah.
This voting thing, I thought that we used to just play with it in school. No, man, this thing's serious.
Yeah.
This thing's real. This is for real. You know what I'm saying? And that's what it takes, Ryan. I think it is mandatory for us to expose our kids to the real world.
Yeah.
Because again, we got kids who are 13 and 14. And Ryan, man, let me tell you something. I got kids that are doing stuff at 13 and 14 that I still ain't did at 32.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So I gotta expose them to that side of life. I have to. It's
I made a post. I made a post yesterday on my profile, and I said, I'm 31, and I said I know 5 other black males that do day trading on the NASDAQ and the S&P. And I said 10 years ago, I didn't know what the NASDAQ and the S&P was used for. I knew what it was, but I didn't know how it was supposed to be used. So I just think about, if I would have had that information, to your point, the Andre and James, the exposure part, right? So if I would have been able to do that and invest the, throwaway refund checks that I got in college, I could probably have a very there's no water here. So, these are things that I feel like if it's like, even if you say, hey, let's do a lesson plan. Here we go. Look at me, education and minor. I didn't pass. But, and just say, hey, let's talk about financial literacy and investments. And let's see if we can get, some of our kids that are geniuses into Tesla and some opportunities where it's like, maybe having the Nike stock is better than the picture saying got them. These are just facts. I just think I'm putting them out there. It's up for you guys to use them. But I wanted to end on this. You know, what do you tell that teacher that is 55 to 60 with a pre-existing condition that is doing this for the love of education, and obviously she's just trying to get by, but this is her main form of income, and you know, she's a diabetic, or you know, we all know. What do you tell her? Is it worth retiring? Is it worth risking your life? What do you tell her to imbue on her or him to go back for the ones that are in that situation where they don't have an option, they don't have a choice? You know, what do you guys tell them?
I'm not telling that woman anything she don't already know.
I gotta put my pastor's hat on.
Come on, Pastor. Come on.
Yeah, I gotta put my pastor's hat on. I'm with Mark on that. First of all, I'm not about to tell you something you already know. Now, come on now. You know you got a pre-existing condition. You know you can't chase Johnny like you could back in your. You know that. I don't have to tell you that. But as a pastor who pastors educators, you need to look out for yourself, because I think you said it earlier, Ryan. What happens if that teacher with a pre-existing condition in their 60s gets sick and die? What's going to happen to those kids? Because this teacher, you know what I'm saying? Not only that, now what happens to this teacher's family? Now let's say she got grandkids. Now they growing up hating education. Education took my grandmama from me because she was trying to chase Johnny at 60. Listen, this is for anybody. This don't even got to have a pre-existing condition, Ryan. This is for anybody, both mentally, spiritually, emotionally. As teachers right now, man, some teachers are getting ready to have mental, emotional breakdowns. You know what I'm saying? Listen, you are not gonna be good to anybody else unless you take care of yourself.
Here we go.
You better take care of yourself.
Here we go.
I'll teach you that. Take care of yourself. And I think James said it earlier. With this pandemic, it's bad, but it's a blessing too, man, because now so much stuff can happen. You know what I'm saying, Ryan? You got a kindergartner over there. You got elementary school kids. Look, man, if I need to look out for myself, man, I just call you. Hey, bro, throw me $30 a week. I'll come over there and I teach the kid, do whatever. You know, bump that school system, man. I got to look out for me. And I got to look out for my son. I got to look out for my wife. You know what I mean? I got to look out for me. So I'm just going to get out there and hustle. The school system cares nothing about me. They want the tax dollars and they want butts in the seats so that they can get the funding that they need so they can pad the salaries of those who, like James said, never step foot in the classroom. This ain't Sunday morning, so I'm going to shut up.
That part. That part.
James, I'm going to give you the last word, man. Go ahead.
Well, first of all, I'm going to say, let's go ahead and pass around the collection plates. If you got 20s, 100, whatever's on your heart, go ahead and pass the plate around so we can do a love offering for Pastor Andre Lloyd Jr. Look.
Oh, man.
You know, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but the advice that I would give to especially older teachers in general who are afraid and worried, I'm going to say this: God has everything under control. And God is not going to allow us to be in a situation that he didn't feel like we could overcome. Wow. And when I say that, I also say this: do what's best for your family, and everything else is going to work out. Don't worry about what's not in your control. Worry about what you can control, and you let God handle the rest. And he's going to do that. He's been doing it since the beginning of the time, and he's going to do it today and tomorrow and in the future. And that's what we got to do moving forward.
No, I just want to say again.
Wait, one last thing.
Go ahead, Mark.
One last thing. Thank you for your service. We got this from here.
Yep.
We got this from here.
Yep.
I just want to say this again, and I don't want to let this get off before we get off. There are 3 Black men under the age of 40 that are educating your children. and doing it the best way they know how. They are already unicorns, very special creatures that don't exist and are here for literally the betterment of man. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to say, like, I love what you guys are doing. Just sending major blessings and vibes. You know, we're all going through our situations, but what you guys do is literally affecting, you know, the doctors that I have when I need them, the police officers that come to my house in the next, you know, 2 or 3 years, and just you guys are the ones that are making the difference, and you're underappreciated. And I think if anything, we want to make sure that, you know, we get it out that you know, we love you guys, and we know that what you do is underappreciated, served, and all that. So just thank you all for getting on here. I really want to just you know, see something positive happen. I don't know what that looks like, but most definitely, as things kind of move forward, hopefully we can get back together and, you know, be able to talk on some issues a little bit more positive, like ending this travesty of a year. So, you know, here's to 2021, gentlemen.
It's the one.
I appreciate you, Ryan.
All right, y'all.
Ryan.
Thank you so much, Ryan. This was great. Appreciate you, gentlemen.
Y'all, man.
Much love. Much love.